Hello everyone, in this tutorial we will see what are the constraints in a DBMS. The rules enforced on data columns of a table to limit the type of data that can go into the table is known as constraint. Constraints are nothing but rules which we keep on the table's creation, and these constraints ensures us the accuracy and reliability of data in the database. And constraints could be either on a column level or table level. These constraints, the rules we can enforce on a single column of a table, or we can enforce on the complete table. The column level constraints are applied only to the one column, whereas the table level constraints are applied to the whole table. In this tutorial we will be seeing only column level constraints, and we will see table level constraints in the later videos, in the next video, which is primary key and foreign key kind of constraints. Next, the constraints are mainly 6 types: primary key, foreign key, unique, not null, default, and check. These are the 6 constraints we are using, and let's explore these from the last one by one. We will see what is check constraint. Check constraints make sure that all the values of that particular column, the constraint the attribute, the column on which we define this check constraint will make sure that it satisfies the check condition. Let's consider this example. You have created a table, and here for the column of age, which is integer, you made a check constraint that check age is greater than or equal to 20. Sorry, it is greater than, it was misprinted, it is less than, but it is greater than. Check age, that age is greater than or not equals to 0. If you see this table here, for the attribute age, we have values 21, 18, 20, 22, 20, but we said age is greater than or equal to 20. We made a check constraint here, so when you are entering these data, there will be no error. But with this data, when you enter this age is 18, it shows error. That's the use of check constraint. And next we will see what is default constraint. Default constraints make sure that all the empty values of that particular column is filled with the default value. If you consider this example, in this we made for the address attribute, address column, we made it a default Hyderabad. So if you consider this table here, for the student of student ID 1, we said address is Mumbai and Delhi, and for this student of Shivanarayan, we made address Hyderabad, and for the Kalyan, Chennai. These black colored text is what we entered manually, but for this Kalyan and Rajesh, there is no address. We didn't given the address. Then the system will automatically takes the default value, which is Hyderabad. Here this Hyderabad is the value which was collected from this person. This is not a default allocation, but where with the empty fields of Kalyan's address and Rajesh's address, we had Hyderabad, the default value. Next we will see what is not null. It makes sure that any value of that particular column cannot be null. If you consider in this example, for the name, I said it is not null. That means name cannot be null. Not null means cannot be null. No, it doesn't allow null values, because name is the most important for a person, right? We can see his details or anything. The name is the most important one, so it cannot be null. If we are having all the values without having name, means what was the use? So that's why we will make it the name as not null. So every field will have, every row will have the name. That's what not null means. Here if you see age, I didn't made for age or date of birth, I didn't use it the constraint not null, so it can have values like this. For mobile number or these things, you can have null voids in the table. Next we will see unique constraint. These unique constraints make sure that all the values of that particular column can uniquely identified. You can read this, you can uniquely identify. Let's see in the example, I said mobile number as unique. Of course mobile number will be definitely unique for every person. to avoid that more than one person saying the same number, we use this constraint unique. Here if you see, all the mobile numbers are unique, and the same mobile number cannot be repeated with any row, and with the unique we can have null values. Null is different from the values entered, so more than one row can have the null values. It doesn't disturbs the unique feature. And next, if you see here with age, we are having two students of age 20. Here unique feature does not work because we cannot say that the age of two students is unique. And similarly with date of birth also, we cannot say that date of births are similar or some unique. It should be unique. If you see here, there are two students with the name Kalyan. So you cannot define unique constraint with respect to name because more than one student can have the same name. Next, we will see the primary key and foreign key in the next tutorial. By default it is not null plus unique, and it makes sure that all the values of that particular column is unique and not null. If you consider this example of a student, here we are having an attribute of student ID which is of character data type 3 bytes of size. Here we made this ID as primary key. If you see here, that means this ID attribute column cannot have null values, and all the values should be unique. Let's say we have a situation like that someone asked for a phone number of Kalyan. Okay, let's start retrieving that. If you go manually, you will see that okay, Kalyan, and you will give the number this, but that particular person doesn't need the number of this Kalyan. He needs the number of this Kalyan, and of course we didn't have number. Don't just forget it. Think we had a number, but here the student ID is the unique and not null constraint, which is the primary key. The primary key of a table should have, every table should have a primary key, and that primary key will allow us to retrieve any kind of data, any data which is we can uniquely identify any row. This primary key is not only just to uniquely identify that particular column, it will be helps to identify uniquely the entire rows. If you want the number of Kalyan, instead of asking that we need a number of Kalyan, if you go with a primary key, we need a number of student ID 5, then the retrieval will be good. It just gives the number of this particular Kalyan of student ID 5. Similarly, you can ask for anything. You can ask for an address of student ID 3, then, and you will understand this with the examples in the later tutorials. And next, we will see what is a foreign key. The column which refers to the column of some other table. Until now, all the constraints what we have seen are with respect to a single table, where this foreign key, two tables will comes into the picture. Mostly it always refers to the primary key of other table, but it's not a necessary condition. Let's see this. Let's see this is the table we have created. In this, ID is the primary key, and next we made foreign key of this table is group. Group attribute is the foreign key of this table, where ID is the primary key of this table, and this foreign key group is referring to the group ID in the group table. Let's see these tables. Here this is the student table and this is the group table. The group of this the group column of the student table is the foreign key for this table, and this is referring to the group ID of this table. See, you can see it was referring to this group ID in this group table. That means if you want to retrieve that, what is the started year of the group in which Harsha is studying, then you need to combine this two tables using this foreign key. Here you can say that the process of retrieval will be, you will be identify that he is in the CSC, and with the help of that foreign key you will be going to this particular table, and there you will retrieve that CSC group is started in the year 2002. And primary foreign key, not only to the primary key, it can also primary foreign key can refer to the any other unique attribute of that table, and it need not to be unique and can also be null. If you see this primary key, it is not null and unique, but this foreign key need not to be unique. You can see more than one student is in a CSE group and ECE and mechanical, so it's not a rule that it should be unique or something like that, and there is no rule that it should not be non-null. In the foreign key attribute we can have null values also. And important points to remember with respect to primary key and foreign key is, foreign key constraints can only point to one table, and each table can have only one primary key, and you can have multiple foreign key constraints on the same column pointing to one primary key of each table. What it means here I said you can refer to group ID or group name with respect to this particular table, but not both at a time, and you can point to two different tables at a time. Here this group column of the student table is referring to the group name of this group table, and it was also referring to some other table of some results or something. So like this it can refer to two different tables at a time, but can't refer to two columns in a same table. And that's it for this tutorial. Thank you. From the next tutorial we will be starting with the programming, and it will be very clear, and with these constraints and data types tutorial of theory you may little confused, but with the help of these upcoming tutorials of practical sessions it will be clear.